Good afternoon. Welcome to the Mind of STEM channel, where you get your daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. My name is Leon Jones, and in today's segment, I'm going to talk about a subset of biology called microbiology. Now, the reason why I am doing microbiology is because if you hadn't heard, there's a worldwide pandemic going on called the coronavirus. And when it comes to science like biology and chemistry, they play a part into creating vaccines to help slow down this virus. Now, when we talk about biology as a whole, we are dealing with a life science. And some of the life sciences involved with biology are entomology, horticulture. You can add that because horticulture, you're dealing with plant life. You're also dealing with anatomy and physiology. But when you talk about organisms, you're talking about something that is micro, really small. And this is where microbiology has its hand in biology. So with that being said, what is microbiology? Well, microbiology is the study of microorganisms, those being unicellular. Now, when something is unicellular, it's one cell, and multicellular, which is a cell colony, and acellular, which means an organism is lacking cells. See, when we talk about microbiology, what we're really saying is that microbiology encompasses numerous subdisciplines, including virology, parasitology, mycology, and bacteriology. Now, something that's eukaryotic, and we talk about eukaryotic microorganisms or microorganisms. Again, that's eukaryotic microorganisms. What they do, eukaryotic microorganisms possess membrane-bound organelles. Again, eukaryotic microorganisms possess membrane-bound organelles and include fungi and protists, which prokaryotic organisms, all of which are microorganisms, are conventionally classified as lacking membrane-bound organelles and include bacteria and archaea. Now, microbiologists traditionally relied on culture, staining, and microscopy or microscopy. However, less than 1% of the microorganisms present in common environments can be cultured in isolation using current means. Now, microbiologists often rely on molecular biology tools such as DNA sequence-based identification. For example, 16S RNA gene sequence used for bacteria identification. Now, viruses, and this is going to include the coronavirus, the swine flu virus, the flu virus, the West Nile virus. Well, viruses have been variably classified as organisms, as they have been considered either as very microorganisms or very complex molecules. Now, prions, never considered as microorganisms, have been investigated by virologists. However, as the clinical effects trace them, or let's put it this way, when it comes to clinical effects that were investigated by virologists, the effects that were clinical were traced to them. They were originally presumed due to chronic viral infections. And virologists took search discovering infectious proteins. Again, viruses have been variably classified as organisms, as they have been considered either as very microorganisms or very complex molecules, because prions, never considered as microorganisms, have been investigated by virologists. However, as the clinical effects traced to them were originally presumed due to chronic viral infections, and virologists took search discovering infectious proteins. Now, the existence of microorganisms were predicted many centuries before they were first observed. For example, by the Jains in India and by Marcus Terentius Varro in ancient Rome. The first recorded microscope observation was of fruiting bodies of molds by Robert Hooke in 1666. But the Jesuit priest Athanasius Kircher was likely the first to see microbes, which he mentioned observing in milk and putrid material back in 1658. Now, Antoine van Leeuwenhoek is considered a father of microbiology, as he observed and experimented with microscopic organisms in 1676 using simple microscopes of his own design. Now, scientific microbiology developed in the 19th century through the work of Louis Pasteur, and in medical microbiology, Robert Koch. Now, some history. One must understand the existence of microorganisms was hypnotized or hypothesized for many centuries before they were actually discovered. Now, the existence of unforeseen microbiological life was postulated by Jainism, which is based on Mahavira's teachings as early as 6th century BC. Now, Paul Dundas notes that Mahavira asserted the existence of unseen microbiology or microbiological creatures living in earth, water, air, and fire. Now, Jain scriptures describe Negotis, which are sub-microscopic creatures living in large clusters and having a very short life, said to pervade every part of the universe, even in tissues of plants and flesh of animals. Now, the Roman Marcus Terentius Varro made references to microbes when he warned against locating a homestead in the vicinity of swamps, because they are a bred of certain minute creatures which cannot be seen by eyes, which float in the air and enter the body through the mouth and nose, and thereby cause serious diseases. Now, of course, in the golden age of Islamic civilization, Iranian scientists hypothesized the existence of microorganisms such as Avicenna in his book, The Canon of Medicine. Ibn Zur, also known as Avenzoar, who discovered scabious mites, and Al-Razi, who gave the earliest known description of smallpox in his book, The Virtuous Life. Now, back in 1546, Girolamo Fracastoro proposed that epidemic diseases were caused by transferable seed-like entities that could transmit infection by direct or indirect contact or vehicle transmission. Now, in 1676, Antony van Leeuwenhoek, who lived most of his life in Delft, Holland, observed bacteria and other microorganisms using a single lens microscope of his own design. He is considered a father of microbiology, as he pioneered the use of single lens microscopes on his own design. Now, while van Leeuwenhoek is often cited as the first to observe microbes. Robert Hooke made his first recorded microscopic observation of the fruiting bodies of molds in 1665. So it has, however, been suggested that a Jesuit priest called Athanasius Kircher was the first to observe microorganisms. Now, Kircher was among the first to design magic lanterns for projection purposes, so he must have been well acquainted with properties of lenses. He wrote concerning the wonderful structure of things in nature investigated by microscope in 1646, stating, "Who would believe that vinegar and milk abound with an innumerable multitude of worms?" He also noted that putrid material is full of innumerable creeping animalcules. He published his Scrutinium Pestis, which is examination of the plague, that's Latin. Now, in 1658, stating correctly that the disease was caused by microbes, though what he saw was most likely red or white blood cells rather than the plague agent itself. Now, when it comes to microbiology, microbes had to be born. So the field of bacteriology, later a discipline of microbiology, or we call it a subdiscipline of microbiology, was founded in the 19th century by Ferdinand Koch, a botanist whose studies on allergy and photosynthetic bacteria led him to describe several bacteria, including Bacillus and Vegetoa. Now, Cohen was also first to formulate a scheme for the taxonomic classification of bacteria and to discover endospores. Now, Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch were contemporaries of Cohn and are often considered to be the father of microbiology and medical microbiology, respectively. Pasteur is most famous for a series of experiments designed to disprove then the widely held theory of spontaneous generation, thereby solidifying microbiology's identity as a biological science. See, one of his students, Adrian Surtees, is considered the founder of marine microbiology. Pasteur also designed methods for food preservation, pasteurization, and vaccines against several diseases such as anthrax, fowl chlorea, and rabies. Koch is best known for his contributions to the germ theory of disease, proving that specific diseases were caused by specific pathogenic microorganisms. So he developed a series of criteria that have been known as the Koch Postulates, because Koch was one of the first scientists to focus on the isolation of bacteria in pure culture, resulting in the description of several novel bacteria, including Mycobacterium tuberculosis, the causative agent of tuberculosis. Now, while Pasteur and Koch are often considered the founders of microbiology, their work did not accurately reflect the true diversity of the microbial world because of their extensive focus on microorganisms having direct medical relevance. It wasn't until the late 19th century in the work of Martinus Bergerac and Sergei Winogradsky that the truth or the true breadth of microbiology was revealed. Bergerac made two major contributions to microbiology. First, the discovery of viruses and the development of enrichment culture techniques, while his work on the tobacco mosaic virus established the basic principles of virology. It was his development of enrichment culturing that he had the most immediate impact on, to thereby reveal the essential role played by microorganisms in geochemical processes. He was also responsible for the first isolation and description of both nitrifying and nitrogen-fixing bacteria. bacterial phages in 1917 and was one of the earliest applied microbiologists. Joseph Lister was the first to use phenol disinfectant on open wounds of patients. Now, when we deal with microbiology, there are branches of microbiology. And the branches of microbiology can be considered or can be classified into applied sciences or divided according to taxonomy, as in the case with bacteriology, that's bacteriology, mycology, protozoology, and phycology. There is considerable overlap between the specific branches of microbiology with each other and with other disciplines, and certain aspects of these branches can extend beyond the traditional scope of microbiology, which is a pure research branch of microbiology, and that's termed cellular microbiology. Now, when it comes to applications, with some feared microbes due to the association of some microbes with various human diseases, many microbes are also responsible for numerous beneficial processes such as industrial fermentation, example, the production of alcohol, vinegar, and dairy products, antibiotic production, and act as molecular vehicles to transfer DNA to complex organisms such as plants and animals. Scientists have also exploited their knowledge of microbes to produce biotechnologically important enzymes such as Taq polymerase. Now, reported genes for use in other genetic symptoms, or let's say systems, and novel molecular biology techniques such as the yeast 2 hybrid system. See, bacteria can be used for the industrial production of amino acids. Corynebacterium glutamaceum is one of the most important bacterial species with an annual production of more than 2 million tons of amino acids, mainly L-glutamate and L-lysine. Since some bacteria have the ability to synthesize antibiotics, they're used for medicinal purposes such as streptomyces and aminoglycoside antibiotics. Now, a variety of biopolymers such as polysaccharides, polyesters, and polymades are produced by microorganisms. Microorganisms are used for the biotechnological production of polymers with tailored properties suitable for high-value medical applications such as tissue engineering and drug delivery. Microorganisms are, for example, used for the biosynthesis of exanthin, alginate, cellulose, cytophysin, polygamma glutamic acid, leaven, hyaluronic acid, organic acids, oligosaccharides, polysaccharide, and polyhydroxyalkanoates. Now, microorganisms are beneficial for biodegradation or bioremediation of domestic and agricultural and industrial waste to subsurface pollution in soil, sediments, and marine environments. The ability of each microorganism to degrade toxic waste depends on the nature of each containment. Since sites typically have multiple pollutant types, the most effective approach to biodegradation is to use a mixture of bacterial and fungal species and strains, each specific to the biodegradation of one or more types of contaminants. Symbiotic microbial communities confer benefits to their human and animal host health, including aiding digestion, producing beneficial vitamins, and amino acids and suppressing pathogenic microbes. Some benefit may be conferred by eating fermented foods, probiotics, which is bacteria, potentially beneficial to the digestive system, or prebiotics, substances consumed to promote the growth of probiotic microorganisms. The ways the microbiome influences human and animal health, as well as methods to influence the microbiome, are active areas of research. So research has suggested that microorganisms could be useful in the treatment of cancer. Various strains of non-pathogenic Clostridia can infiltrate and replicate within solid tumors. Clostridial vectors can be safely administered, and their potential to deliver therapeutic proteins has been demonstrated in a variety of preclinical models. Now, if you're interested in some professional organizations, of course, there's the American Society for Microbiology. Now, you see, as stated, when we talk about microbiology, we talk about organisms that you can't see, but these organisms live amongst us. And this is what's in the swine flu, smallpox, the coronavirus, and some of these organisms can be used to treat these flus. And this is why I'm telling everybody, when it comes to this coronavirus, all they're going to do is find some type of vaccine through microorganisms, and they're going to inject it into your system so you become immune to it. And this is what happens when we deal with flu shots. If you look at penicillin, blue cheese, they're formed from mold. And at the end of the day, microbiology is the study of microorganisms. And microbiology encompasses virology, parasitology, mycology, and bacteriology. And when it comes to microbiology, microbiology is a subset of biology, which biology overall is a life science, and it's the study of living things, which includes organisms. And that concludes this segment of the Mind of STEM channel. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And I apologize for some of the gaffes when I look at the information, particularly if it's medically related. The pronunciation of some of these words are either Greek or Latin, and they can be very difficult to pronounce. So I gave it my all. But at the end of the day, I want you to understand what microbiology really is. And if you want more on microbiology, check out your local community college, your local colleges, and check out the medical field. Because again, microbiology is an important life science because it studies living organisms. Also, please subscribe to my other channel, the 411 Talk Zone radio show. You can also look me up on Blog Talk Radio. The Blog Talk Radio shows every weekend. And if you can't find my Mind of STEM channel, you can't find any of my YouTube channels, I'm on Facebook and Twitter. Once again, thank you for viewing this video on microbiology from the Mind of STEM channel, where you get your daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Have a wonderful and gracious day.